Hey guys, it's DT. Today I'm going to be taking you guys on a little field trip with me. I just got back from the SAC Toy Show. I don't get out to conventions much, but when I do, they're usually focused on comic books and not toys. However, this one had a few special guests that I couldn't pass up. This one featured not only Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, but also Frank Welker, the voice of Megatron.
One shall stand, one shall fall. I'll crush you with my bare hands!
They also had some other celebrities as well, such as Catherine Bach. However, she was only there yesterday and not today, so unfortunately I missed her. John Ratzenberger was also on the guest list.
I'll have you know tampering with the mail is a crime punishable by banishment.
Along with some actors from the Fast and Furious, Pawn Stars, but the big sell for me was definitely Peter Cullen and Frank Welker. So the show was a two-day event. It started on Saturday. However, Peter and Frank were only going to be there today on Sunday. They were offering photo opportunities and autographs, but one of the options was the VIP pass. Now, what do you get with the VIP pass? You got admission to 2 days at the show. You got a Frank Welker photo op, a Peter Cullen photo op, a group photo op with both of them, a Frank Welker autograph, and a Peter Cullen autograph. I think it was a pretty good deal because I wanted all of the above, and actually this VIP came in handy later on. I'll tell you why. So I actually brought one of my art portfolios to the show, and that way I would have a place to put anything I picked up and also store the stuff I wanted to get signed. I made the mistake of going to a con once with nothing in my hands other than my wallet, and I wound up carrying art prints around the entire show. And trying to flip through comic books with a stack of prints in your hand is not fun. So if you're going to a convention, always bring something to put your stuff because sometimes the vendors don't have bags. VIP holders also got this exclusive poster. It's a rather cool looking design of Optimus Prime in Hawaii. He's kind of got the torches going on with the palm trees in the background. Looks like it's kind of carved out of wood, sort of like a tiki. Looks like this is the artwork of Michael Barnard, if I'm reading that correctly. But here it is, SAC Toy Show, comics, toys, culture. I didn't really see any comics. I did see some toys, and there was definitely some culture there. So a nice little souvenir print. Also with the VIP pass, I believe you got early access to the show. However, I am not a morning person, and I had a few-hour drive to get to the show. So there was no way I was getting there at 8 a.m. I wound up getting there maybe around 9:40. So a little bit on the early side, enough to kind of beat the regular crowd. John Ratzenberger was actually having a photo op at 10 a.m. according to the schedule. However, when I went to his booth to try and purchase one of those, he wasn't there. so I wound up waiting around. I spent some time kind of browsing the booths. I saw there were a lot of Hot Wheels, a lot of cars, car-related toys. They did have some Funko Pops here and there, some plushes. Nothing that I was too interested in buying. I didn't really go there to buy toys. Usually when I go to cons, I try and research things. I don't like going to a show not knowing what the value of something is. I like to walk away knowing that I got a good deal. So I wasn't planning on buying anything extravagant. I didn't see too many vintage toys. However, I'm sure there was some there somewhere. Then I was just hanging out by John Ratzenberger's booth, checking out all his cool pics. The thing I remember him the most from was definitely Cheers. Growing up, I used to watch Cheers, you know, a little kid watching a show about people drinking at a bar. But I found it very entertaining, especially his character, him and Norm. I think he's been in every Pixar movie as different characters, so he's well known amongst a lot of different generations. He was in The Empire Strikes Back, for those of you that might have heard of that movie. Just tons of stuff. His career has spanned decades. So I was very excited to meet him as well, but I was getting a little nervous because Peter Cullen was supposed to start taking photos around 10:30, and it was like 10:10, and I hadn't seen John Ratzenberger. So eventually he showed up. There were only a few people in front of me in line, so luckily that went by very quickly. I don't think they did the formal photo op, but instead they offered selfies. And I also picked up this right here. This is the Funko Pop Cliff Clavin from Cheers. I didn't even know they had a line of Cheers Funko Pops, but apparently they have Funko Pops for everything. Had to get Cliff. They had some of his other characters too, like the Yeti, but I had to get the Cliff Clavin, and he signed it right there on the front. And then I got a picture with him and the Funko Pop. Very cool, very nice guy, you know, very laid back. Thank you, John, for signing this. This is gonna go in one of the premier spots in my Funko Pop collection. So actually taking the time to talk and take pictures with John actually made me a little bit late getting in line for Peter Cullen. It was kind of weird how the line was. They were in this one room taking pictures. However, the line kind of went out and all the way around through some hallways and then back into the showroom. So it kind of just like was this giant square or rectangle. As I was walking down the hallway, it just seemed to keep going and going and going. Eventually I found the end of the line. I just parked myself there and waited. And you had to do that 3 different times. One for Peter, one for Frank, and then one for the group op. And then you had to go across the hall to another room for the autographs at the end of the day. First up was Peter Cullen. One of the things they announced was that there was going to be an acrylic panel in between the actors and the fans, but I can understand why. I mean, these guys are seeing hundreds of people within the day, and they don't know any of these people. I mean, they could have been sick a couple days ago, last week, this morning, so it's better to take the precautions, especially in their age. I think Peter Cullen is 81, and Frank Welker is in his upper 70s. It's always better to be safe than sorry. But I'm not really sure how good that acrylic panel really worked. We entered in the same side they were in. They were talking to us, giving us fist bumps, kind of looking around the panel. So after you would take the picture, you would just go around the corner, and they were actually printing out 8x10s on the spot. They had like 4 different printers going, and they would just spit them out, and the person would just hand you your picture right then and there. Here is my picture with Peter, right here. Just looks like your casual fan meeting the actor picture with the little acrylic panel in the middle. You can barely see it, but it's there. But man, I look big in this picture. They also have the option of purchasing a digital copy as well for an additional $5. So of course, I went ahead and did that because $5 isn't that much. Plus, it'll save me the trouble of having to scan this thing to put it in this video. Just me and Optimus Prime. So after you got your photo, you left the little studio and you went right back around, back into that line. However, I went back to my car to put away the Funko Pop. I didn't want to be carrying it through the whole show. And when I got back, I was even farther back in the line. While in line, I met some awesome people. We had some great discussions about Transformers, collecting, comic books, statues, you name it. So the time went by really quickly. Didn't feel all that bad. And that's really the great thing about going to these shows, is meeting other people that share the same interests as you. I also met some fans, either fans of EvanTube HD, who recognized me as Evan's father, and also fans of DT's Geek Show, who recognized me from reviewing Transformers statues. So that was pretty cool. Got to take some pictures with them, meet them, talk with them as well. So back to the photo shoot, I met Frank Welker, another great guy. And here's our picture right here. This time, I didn't want to look like deer caught in headlights. Right when they were about to take a picture, I see Frank doing this cross-arm pose, and I quickly mirror his pose. He kind of got a chuckle out of that. So there you go, that was my picture with Frank. I ran back to my car again because I had to change my shirt. Since I was taking a photo with both of them, I wanted to have both Autobot and Decepticon there. I also grabbed my poster because things were getting a little bit late. They're running a little bit behind, and I wanted to make sure I had my things to sign ready to go when they started the autograph sessions. Again, met some great people in line, had some wonderful conversations with them. Here's a look at the group photo. Both Peter and Frank were on one side of the plexi, and I was on the other side. I already had a picture with both of them, kind of casual. So I gave him the old Hulk pose, and I think they were amused by it. At least Peter was. Now I'm showing you guys the digital because there's a little story with something that happened with the print. I'll share that a little bit later, but I'm very happy with this picture. I think this picture is hilarious. So after that, my photo sessions were done, They were, as I mentioned before, running a little bit behind. At one point, the printer system kind of crashed or something happened, but they were able to retake photos for people. It just took a little bit longer than they had planned. After I took my group picture, I went over and I stood in the autograph line. Now, this is where the VIP came in very handy. They actually had two different lines. The non-VIP line went out the door, around the corner, and into the parking lot. But even the VIP line was pretty long. So when the line finally started to move, they had a certain number of people go from the lobby area into this sectioned off conference room. There were several different rows of lines, and then each line would get their turn kind of going up and getting their stuff signed. So the deal was, with the VIP ticket, you could get one item signed by each person. I had a couple different items, so I actually purchased an additional thing to get signed. The first thing I had signed were these Sideshow prints. So I've got a Megatron right here for Frank to sign right there on the bottom, and I got an Optimus for Peter Cullen to sign. There's a little story with the Megatron, and I'll tell you that in just a second. I also got this cool metallic limited edition print to get signed by both of them. So I brought my own pen. I wasn't sure what kind of pens they were using, and I definitely wanted them to match, especially on this poster. So I brought a white acrylic paint pen, and first I had Frank sign it. He signed it right there on Megatron's leg, and then Peter followed suit and signed his on Optimus's leg. Originally I was thinking they would just sign in these areas over here, but I actually like how the signature kind of pops out on the actual character. If you notice over here, we have a few little white dots. That was because the lady sitting next to Peter, I'm not sure exactly who she was, when this was getting passed over to Peter, she grabbed the pen and shook it without the cap on. So you can see on my video, I put my camera down because I was trying to organize my other stuff, and you can see the paint fly right off that tip onto this poster. Some of the staff members around were kind of panicked, and one of them came over with a towel and was about to try and wipe it off, and another guy stopped him and he was like, no, don't touch it, don't touch it.
This one? No, don't do it. I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't do it?
So this is a fairly glossy print. It does have some pores in it. I think if you tried to wipe it gently with a damp cloth before it dried, you would be able to wipe it off, but he didn't want to take a chance. Neither did I, to tell you the truth. You know, I don't think it looks too bad. I mean, it kind of goes with the ball and chain here, and we can see all these little white specks all over here as well. So, I don't know. It kind of just goes with the piece, kind of just adds to the story. But anyway, they saw that, and one of the handlers kind of felt bad, and he asked me if I had anything else I wanted to get signed. And, you know, I had only planned on these two pieces, so I was like, well, he can sign my 8x10. I grabbed the group picture out, and Peter signed it. He actually signed it with my Micron pen, and the Micron pens take a little while to dry, especially on a glossy surface like this. And in my haste, I kind of put it into the sleeve, and it kind of smeared, and the ink kind of got on the sleeve as well. So when I took this out, it kind of transferred that ink over here onto the side of Megatron. It's not the end of the world, but you know, it's kind of a blemish that I didn't plan on. And after the guy got it signed, he asked me if I wanted Frank to sign it too, and I was like, yeah, sure. So he brought this over to Frank, and then Frank signed it in Sharpie. While I was talking to him about getting Frank to sign this, guess who signed this one too? Peter Cullen, while I wasn't looking, signed the Megatron poster as well. It's not a terrible thing, it's just not what I had planned. I had planned to have Frank sign Megatron and for Peter to sign Optimus. It's got the artist, it's got Frank, and it's got Peter. I was tempted to get my Optimus signed by Frank, but I decided to keep it an Optimus only print. So here's kind of the dual pieces. It looks a little bit lopsided with two signatures on this one, but Still pretty cool, I think. With these signings, I usually find something goes wrong with them. Either they sign in a weird place or something happens with the pen. So you just gotta go with the flow. You know, you can't be too serious about it. These aren't like expensive comic books that need to be graded. These are all going into my personal collection. Just something for me to admire and look at. I don't plan on selling any of these things. I think that'll do it. I think that's pretty much it. So after I was done with that, I wanted to go out and kind of look at what people were selling. However, all the vendors were already packing up. That's how late it was. You know, the day kind of flew by, so I really didn't get to see what people had to offer as far as toys go. If I go next time, I'll have to do 2 days, 1 day to kind of shop and then 1 day to get these signatures. Overall, it was a great experience. Very happy to meet Frank, Peter, and John, and even greater to meet fans of mine. So if I met you in line today, thanks for hanging out, making the time go faster. And if you're thinking about going to another one of these shows, maybe I'll make an announcement beforehand, and that way we can all meet up. Thanks again to Peter, to Frank, to John, to the organizers of the show. It was a lot of fun. And let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.